3 months ago, I was stuck in an endless cycle of manifestation failure. And today, people literally ask me, dude, you've changed, man. What happened to you? And you might be asking what I did differently. Well, I stopped trying to manifest from my old identity, and instead, I used Joe Dispenza's formula to become someone new at a subconscious level. And the shift was so profound that opportunities started appearing out of nowhere without any effort, as if reality had no choice but to match my new frequency. And so I want to share that with you, my friend, and break down the exact meditation technique that I adapted from Joe that made this possible, including the critical step that most people miss. And that's important. But here's the thing, and most YouTubers won't tell you this. Your current identity is your biggest manifestation cockblock. And it's going to be the biggest cockblock you'll ever face, because it's like trying to download Netflix on one of those old Nokia phones from the 2000s. The hardware can't support the software. Okay? I'm excited to jump into this, but before we dive into this, I want to quickly mention something that might help you. Now, if you are enjoying this content and you want to go deeper with this manifestation work, I've created a bunch of special things for you guys as well. I have been getting a bunch of calls in my alignment sessions who can't afford my private one-to-one mentor and coaching for now. However, in the description below, I have created an activation where it basically aligns you to the frequency of abundance, and it takes everything to the next level because it opens you up to opportunities that you may be missing out right now. And so that's one. There's also a free meditation that I give to my private clients only, which is a quantum leap into your future. That one's very, very quickly if you want your life to change very, very dramatically as well. And there is also a free a breakthrough one-to-one session with me. And those are powerful because if there is any limiting beliefs, interferences, blocks that may be hindering whatever it is you're wanting to manifest, then we will go into an hour and a half session to flush that out immediately and quantum leap you into your desired reality immediately. Now, these resources are what I give to my private clients. So it's helped my students create remarkable shifts in their financial reality, in their desired reality, in whatever. So just check out the link below if that resonates with you. Now, I tried everything. Vision boards, check. Affirmations until my throat was sore, check. Journaling, check. Visualization, check. I even wrote a check to myself, like Jim Carrey did, pay to order to me, $1 million. And still, no results. The problem wasn't that manifestation doesn't work. The problem was that I was trying to manifest from an identity that was fundamentally incompatible with what I wanted. Your identity is incompatible with your desire. That was me. Okay? My identity. Who I believed I was at my core was the exact thing that was keeping me anchored into my past, keeping me stuck. Okay? Now this is where Joe Dispenza's breakthrough comes in. And his work changed everything for me. In his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, life-changing, game-changing book, Joe explains something profound. Your personality creates your personal reality. What a quote. Let that sink in for a moment, okay? Your personality creates your personal reality. So what does that mean? Well, your personal reality, your personality is the collection of thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that you repeat daily. Your old identity equals creating your current reality or your old reality, okay? So if you are repeating these behaviors, emotions, thoughts daily, you're creating your current life. Simple as that. Not your vision board, not your affirmations, but your identity is what is creating your life right now. Now here's where it gets interesting. Joe explains that your identity isn't some fixed, unchangeable thing. I thought it was. It's literally just a series of neural connections in your being that have become hardwired through repetition. Okay? So, as simple as this, you have to become someone new to create a new reality, right? It's like when you drive home from work. You know, sometimes you zone out and then suddenly you're in your driveway and you had no memory of the drive. That's because that route is so hardwired in your being that you can do it on autopilot. All right? Well, your identity works the same way. You've practiced being you for so long that it's now your default setting. Old identity. But your identity is just hardwired programs. It's as simple as that. You don't even have to think about being you. You have just memorized being you for so long. All right? That is where the hardwired programs reside. The problem is that it's your default. If your default setting is struggling entrepreneur, always broke, unlucky in love, you have to struggle and life is hard, then that is the reality you're going to continue to create. Basically, more of the same shit. All right? Now, there are specific identity blocks that I have basically realized about myself. And I sat down and made a list of all the traits that made up my current identity. The Kevin that wasn't manifesting what he wanted. And let me tell you, this was not a fun exercise. It's like voluntarily signing up for a roast where you are both the comedian and the victim. Okay? This is what my personal identity blocks were, okay? If you need help identifying yours, book in a breakthrough session with me. I was a procrastinator for my business. I was an overthinker, overthought everything before I took action. People pleaser, yeah? I would put other people's needs above me. Scarcity mindset, right? I needed to struggle to make money, and the list went on and on and on. With each trait I wrote down, I realized this is why my manifestations weren't working. I was trying to manifest abundance while my core identity was programmed for scarcity. I couldn't download an abundance mindset on a scarcity operating system, okay? It's like trying to download Android apps on an Apple phone, okay? You cannot download abundance on a scarcity operating system. Just like you can't sit in 2 seats at once. You gotta pick one. But here's where most people get stuck. They identify these traits and they try to fix them through willpower, through positive thinking. It's like trying to delete an app while yelling at your phone. Sorry, it's not gonna work like that. And what Joe taught me is that you need to literally rewire your mind and body by creating new neural pathways. And the way to do that is through a very specific meditation process. And I've written up the formula over here. But before I share that exact technique, I need to warn you something about withdrawal symptoms, okay? When you do this process, you are going to experience identity withdrawal symptoms. Yep. When you start disconnecting from your old identity, it feels terrible. And I mean terrible in a way that makes you question everything. I'm not even joking. Why? Because your brain is literally going through neurochemical withdrawal. Your old identity produces certain chemicals in your being. Maybe stress hormones if you are always anxious, maybe doubting yourself, adrenaline if you are always, rushing, like, I don't have enough time. It's just exhausting just talking about it. But when you stop reinforcing these neural pathways, your entire being freaks out like a drug addict without their fix, okay? So what happens? What are these withdrawal symptoms? Well, your identity is confused. Who am I if I'm not stressed all the time? Who am I if I'm not this person who always puts others before me? What if people don't like this new me? You will experience emotional discomfort, a purging of emotions. You will feel uncertain, okay? You have a fear of rejection and an urge to go back to your old self. And I remember sitting in my car after 3 days of this process, having a full-on identity crisis. I literally didn't know who I was anymore. But that's exactly the point. I was in the gap between my old self and my new self. Now, most people hit this point and they run back to their old identity because it's familiar. It's like being in an abusive relationship with yourself. It's toxic, but at least you know what to expect, right? Now, here's the thing. Listen carefully. If you can push through this phase, something magical happens on the other side, okay? You gotta push through this phase. This is the hardest part. And the reason being is once you push through, there is a shift that happens. But let's talk about that a bit later. Let's talk about the identity shift formula right now. So write this down, okay? Because this is the exact technique that I adapted from Joe that changed everything for me. Step number 1, define your new identity. Get clear on who you are. Who do you want to be? What are these traits, right? Not what you want to have. who you want to be. What traits would this version of you embody? How would they think about themselves? How would they see themselves? What kind of thoughts do they tell themselves daily? And what kind of behaviors do they engage in, right? For me, I wanted to embody someone who was confident, decisive. Once I made a decision, I stuck to that decision. Abundant-minded, like there is always going to be more than enough. If I invest in this, it's going to come back to me tenfold. Someone that took inspired action without overthinking as well. That's me. Step 2, you got to feel it in your body. Create a detailed sensory experience of being that person. Now, this is where most people mess up. They think about the new identity instead of experiencing it. How does it feel in your body to be confident? How does it feel to think highly of yourself? Because your brain doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. So you need to create an experience using your imagination so that your brain produces the neurochemicals associated with your new identity. Here's how I did it. I'm going to give you everything. I would sit down in meditation and ask myself, what would it feel like to be this confident, abundant person? And I would feel a sensation in my body. I would even feel myself just like, like my posture would change. And I would just remain present. And once I experienced some sort of sensation, I would put my awareness on it, such as like the warmth of confidence in my chest, the lightness of being an abundant-minded person, the clarity of being decisive, sticking to my word, however it wants to be expressed, okay? That is step number 2. Step number 3 is be this new state of being. Whew. This is where I combine Joe's work with Neville's assuming the state. Because once I had those physical sensations and the vividness in my awareness, I needed to embody this state, meaning that this is now me. I'm wearing it. Not hoping they would be mine someday, not affirming they were mine while secretly doubting. No. Genuinely feeling these traits of these traits are already me, right? It's like you're putting on a new costume or a new outfit for yourself. Like, wow, I look hot. Like that. Be that person. Now, this is the hardest part. Step number 4, sustain this state. Now you got to sustain this state. And Joe talks about this when you get up from your meditation. You got to remain as this modified state of being for the rest of the day. Now, when you think, maybe you're lacking thoughts like, oh my God, who am I? I don't have money in my bank account. You just went back to the old self. Sorry. When you can maintain this state for the whole day, that is true mastery. And yes, it's possible. At first, you're going to have to do willpower. Maybe it's going to last 5 minutes. And the next day, it's going to be 20 minutes, right? But you have to master this state of being until everything clicks and you don't have to use your will and your conscious mind to do it. It's just you. All right? I did this for 30 days straight. No exceptions, no excuses. And that is when the shifts happen. About 2 weeks in, something started to happen. I noticed subtle shifts in how I felt and behaved throughout the day. I would catch myself making decisions without the usual overthinking. I was making confident decisions about my business and my life. I would also notice opportunities I would have missed before, okay? And I felt confident, physical changes. I felt confident about myself in situations where it would have triggered anxiousness previously, okay? That was a change in energy, physical changes. I was walking with my chest up, feeling like the man. But the real confirmation came from other people. I had a friend literally say, man, what happened to you? You seem so different. My clients commented that I seemed more solid somehow, whatever that means. And I never told anyone what I was doing. So these observations weren't just placebo effects or people just being friendly and nice to me. They were genuinely noticing a shift in my energy and behavior. Then came the physical changes, right? I started sleeping better. My digestion improved. And I want to dive deeper into that because when you have an amazing digestive system like gut health, you have unlimited energy. I would work sometimes for 10 hours straight and I would love what I'm doing. I'm in a flow state, right? Now, these things may seem small, but you're actually recalibrating your body in a new neurochemical state, all right? The most profound moment came about 3 weeks in. I was driving to a meeting, and I suddenly realized I felt completely different in my own skin. Like a snake shedding its old skin and into a new one, I wasn't trying to be this version of me anymore. I sustained this state for so long that this version was just now me. Whew. The old identity felt like a character I had played in a movie that just ended. Now I remember being that person, but I no longer identified with the procrastinator, the overthinker, the people pleaser, the scarcity mindset. And that's when manifestation started flowing. Not because I was doing anything differently in terms of actions, but because my frequency had fundamentally changed. Now, within a month of completing this 30-day process, I attracted a business opportunity that doubled my revenue. Literally, a business coach wanted to work with me and help me grow my channel on YouTube. And I started getting invited to speaking events that I couldn't previously get into. My content started reaching more people with the same promotion strategy. I even met someone who later became a powerful ally later on in life. But here's what's most important to understand. These things didn't happen to me, they happened through me. That is the best way I can describe it. The new identity I had embodied naturally attracted these experiences because they were in alignment with who I had become. And this is why most people fail at manifestation. They try to attract things that aren't in alignment with their current identity. You can't attract a successful business if you overthink too much, right? If you procrastinate, how are you going to build a business if you procrastinate? That was me. So, why do people fail? Why do most people fail at identity shifting? Well, I identified 3 reasons. I think I wrote it down. Yes, it is. 3 reasons people fail. Number 1, changing actions without changing identity, right? They try to change their actions without changing their identity. This is like going to the gym, but then when you experience rainfall, you're like, oh no, I'm not going to the gym today. It's raining. It's 5 p.m. There's going to be so much people. I'm not even going to get a machine in. Because your identity didn't change, right? Number 2 is not pushing through the withdrawal phase. Now, when you start feeling uncomfortable or uncertain about who you are, people retreat to that familiar identity. They have an urge to go back to that old identity. And it's usually 3 to 5 days that this happens, but you got to push through it. But it's intense, okay? 3rd, they don't sustain this new identity long enough, to sustain this state, right? You have to sustain it until it becomes your default setting, like what happened to me. Because neuroplasticity research shows it takes about 30 days of consistent practice to rewire your entire being. Most people give up after a week because it's so uncomfortable. You're in the gap. Like, who am I? You're having an identity crisis. So, I want to challenge you for the next 30 days. Stop trying to manifest what you want and instead focus on becoming who you need to be to naturally attract these things. Okay? It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. If you do this consistently for 30 days, I guarantee you that you will experience a shift so profound that your old self will feel like a distant memory. And that is a great feeling. You stop identifying with your old self. You stop speaking about it. Simple as that. That is when your new identity will create your new reality. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with someone who may need to hear this message. And remember, also check out these life-changing services linked in the description below. But if you can take this biggest takeaway from this video, you don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. So stop being yourself and start being who you want to be.